this is the week that obviously there's more fallout from the Democratic loss, which is getting slimmer and slimmer by the day, meaning Trump didn't win the popular vote by very much, didn't even get to 50%, which is, you could still win the popular vote because the other candidate got less. So there's a question now of like, which way will the Democratic Party go? But there is also like some atonement, some looking back. And one of those ways people are looking back, not atonement. There's no atonement. Sorry, I apologize for saying atonement. There's just looking back. And one of those ways is looking at the money. Because Kamala Harris and the campaign apparently burned through $1.5 billion in 15 weeks. And all the things I could have done with that money. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, first of all, invest it. Number one.
Stamps.
Always buy stamps.
Stamps.
Gold bars.
Yes.
Gold bars and stamps and, books.
Mm-hmm.
And plants.
Buy Oprah's endorsement 15 more times.
Yeah. So this is from the New York Times. Her cash-rich campaign spared no expense as it hunted for voters, paying an avalanche of advertising, social media influencers, a for-hire door-knocking operation, thousands of staff, which really sucks. Like, I appreciate a lot of people who knock doors for Harris, but a lot of them did it for free. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh no, they were shelling out money, which is, I think, what a lot of politicians do, sadly. Thousands of staff, pricey rallies, a splashy Oprah town hall, celebrity concerts, and even drone shows. It was averaged that they spent about $100 million a week. Now, look, I'm not here to say that I know how to run a campaign better, but I might know how to run a campaign better. Like, it's always like, it's just hindsight 2020 is so silly. And I'm not here to be like, no, you shouldn't spend any money on advertising. Of course you need to spend money on advertising. It's just how you do it, who you do it with, and what you say that really matters. So having said that, let's go in. Because yes, there was a biggest expense was almost $500 million on advertising, producing and buying media. The total sum through the election is said to be $600 million.
Keep in mind, a lot of those ads were ads asking you for money.
Yes.
Like, you're making the ad, use the money you're asking me for the ad. You're making the fucking ad.
I mean, not.
We're the ones who want the money.
Exactly. Just take that money and promise it to everybody else. Do one ad. It'll spread on its own. And then, of course, there was the Sphere, Gareth, which again is the Las Vegas Sphere. But we'll get to that in a second. Apparently, there was $2.5 million directed at 3 digital agencies that worked with online influencers, and I wasn't one of them. No. And that's very disturbing to me.
No, Harry Sisson.
Yeah. I've been on shows with that guy. He's a smart kid. He's a smart kid. Good for him. Get your money.
No, it's like if a Hubble figurine became a piggy bank for evil people.
It's like, it is. I will say, like, there's part of me that's like, I should have gotten that money, but also meaning like, damn, that sucks. When you're like, I missed out. But also, like, there is something nice.
PPP loan.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I definitely should have gotten the PPP loan. I should be like, the Bitchuation room can't continue.
Yeah.
Even though, like, did the dollop get PPP money?
Oh yeah, we're big into the PPP money. Yeah, for sure. Yep, absolutely. We got a lot of it.
Good. I'm glad. I can see. That's why you got that.
It went over well with our fans for sure.
Jared Kushner gave this to us personally. But I'm just like, part of that is also like, I'm also on panels with people who are like denying that they're paid shills. It's like, well, you are technically a paid shill. Like, you know what I mean? You are paid by the DNC, or the Harris campaign specifically. Again, I was saying $450,000 a day. That's not true for the Sphere, but it was almost $1 million for a week. The drone shows in the sky, and then before the debate in Philadelphia in September, and a Pittsburgh Steelers game in October. Drone shows. Who's like, you know what? I don't really feel like Kamala Harris is a plan. Ooh, Kamala Harris's face in the sky, but assembled by drones.
I don't understand.
She's got my vote.
They did a lot of stuff for people who were already in. Like, a drone show is for an event where people are it's like gratifying. I mean, they just had too much fucking money. I don't think that you can talk about how you're gonna change the life of the economy in America to benefit workers and people who need money, and then run a campaign of $1.5 billion where everyone's like, "The fuck you what?"
We're fiscally responsible. Here's
She
1.5
she
billion, billion,
should
billion.
if Musk can give everyone a random person $1 million, she should have just sent everybody $10.
Yeah, exactly. Here you go.
There you
Here's
go.
10. There's more where
$10.
that came from. Just grandma style in a
There you
nice
go.
little
Yeah.
card,
Yeah, right.
you
Yeah.
know? Spritz it with something nice.
Mhm.
Okay, so then obviously concerts. Now a lot of people were like, "Oh, were these celebrities paid?" No, they weren't paid. But when you have Lady Gaga or John Bon Jovi or Aguilera or, James Taylor, like these people
By the way,
have
can we cut
massive.
James Taylor out of these things already?
I don't really know James Taylor very
That's what I'm
much.
saying. It's like he gets up
Exactly.
there and everyone's like, should probably go pee."
But again, there's so much support staff. Obviously, they need to get paid, and they were apparently $10 million specifically on that. Or election eve rallies were about $10 million. It's just,
That's also crazy.
and then on top of that, they are in debt. 5 sources with this, actually, according to NBC, with direct knowledge of the internal finances, confirmed that it is indeed accrued debt. None could
Still
point to a
texting
specific
us for money.
amount. It's like around $6 million. And they were like, well, it's better that we spent it all. Yeah, they're still emailing. They're emailing now saying, is there anything we can say?
Listen, it's a good test for people in the Democratic Party who should be euthanized if anyone is donating any more money to them. Euthanize that person. You've
No,
got
it's
the
true.
drones,
It's
just
true.
send it over there with the new COVID vaccine, and RFK will be right, and we can kind of kindly come together as a country.
There is something they could say. If they were like, look, we were wrong. Joe Biden should never have run for a second term, probably never run for a first term. Bernie would have won. Um, Kamala Harris ran a very centrist campaign that spoke to no one, did not break with Biden on all the key things, specifically on Palestine and on Gaza. And yes, it is a genocide. And we're committed to using all the money you give us to support a populist candidate. Then I would give them money. I'll give them $20.
Look, there for people
That's what they can
probably
say.
like us, at least for me, I agreed last time. I mean, you're lucky if you live in California because you can kind of nationally just kind of disconnect a little bit. Nobody wants Trump. I mean, nobody that I know. I mean, I know I am actually friends with some people who wanted Trump, but I feel like to me it's different. If
Mr.
someone comes
Mr.
to
Hinchcliffe, is that
if
is that Tony?
I'm
Your
not
boy
going to get
Tone.
into it. Um, if someone gets to the Trump decision that they're voting for him because they hate the Democratic Party, I'm like, that I get. If someone's like, I like his policies, I'm like, that's fucking crazy. The way that they have not only they have like you never know with the Democrats where the line of paid and stupid, it's very blurry. Like, how
Yes.
much of it is just pure stupidity and how much of it is just influence? And is the influence just creating the stupidity? Is the stupidity opening the door to the influence? I can never really read where that is. I know it's like murky and somewhere in the middle. But they did not want to win the election first and foremost. It's very obvious by not holding primaries, by running Joe Biden, by eliminating Bernie Sanders from the options 2 times.
Well, and
They didn't
remember
have an
what
interest in it.
happened. Remember what everyone was so scared about. Not everyone, not like you and me. What the Democratic Party and the insiders were scared about was the donors
Yeah,
bailing
yeah.
on Biden's campaign. So they were like, we need $1.5 billion. We need all this money. And you know who that's for? And I actually know people who are like this. It's all the campaign bottom feeders.
Mhm,
There are so many feeders that it doesn't matter who they don't care who to work for. Bloomberg, Schultz,
mhm,
Schultz. It doesn't matter. They're there. They're there to make websites, to make,
mhm.
online influencer campaigns. They're there to do all kinds of things to support, but they are campaign feeders. It is not about messaging. It is not about reaching voters. It's not about talking to folks. It's not about like having any good plans. It's not about responding to anything that anyone needs. It's just about the Beltway campaign feeders. And it's really disgusting. So now, that being said, apparently the DNC still has money, which is good. And yet, the DNC literally well, they just laid off a bunch of staffers that their union, yes, the DNC staff union, which we do support, released a statement calling it a betrayal of party values because they were fired with 1 day's notice and no severance. The Democratic Committee is facing the fallout of callous, short-sighted mismanagement of senior leadership. Starting Wednesday night, permanent employees were notified of their termination effective Friday with no severance. DNC leadership refuses to disclose DNC staff to the staff union the full extent of these layoffs and whether the additional cuts are planned. They go on and on. They say, look, we're proud of everything we've done, but the principles we champion on the national stage have been disregarded in our own workplace. The process of regaining the trust of the American people must start with living our party's values. Yeah, but
they are living your party's values.
Yeah, so this is the question. Because I do not want, first of all solidarity to these DNC workers.
Yes.
And especially if they were like had worked for years for them, fired without severance, what the fuck? But we don't know what your party's values are.
And we know what they aren't. We know that the party's values are no longer the working class. We know that people now identify the Republicans more with solidarity of the working class, which is obviously absurd. But the Democrats have done themselves no favor. Anybody who believed that Biden was the most pro-union president ever was just listening to too many Biden speeches. They had many opportunities to, if you think about your term in office as a campaign ad, they had many opportunities to back that up. Many opportunities, let alone the railroad workers strike. They had many opportunities to find a way to do that. But they are
something broke with that railroad strike, didn't it? That was kind of a pivotal moment.
I think that and not just the trains. They really did decide. They made the calculation, as they have the Chuck Schumer clip where he says we're trying to get those moderate Republicans and blah, blah. They have made the calculation that they want the Liz Cheney voter who's disenfranchised with Trump. This voter barely exists.
Mm-hmm.
And the Democrats are anti-union. They are anti-worker. And it pains a lot of people to hear that. And a lot of people misconstrue that as I am pro-Republican or pro-Trump. But you leave the lane open for Trump to take Bernie's message when you kick it out of your party 2 different times. And Trump is just, again, speaking to the people who felt like they were, not entirely, but were ignored by Obama, and who Bernie spoke to, and have felt the burn from the Democrats when it comes to trying to get someone who's popular, who has populist messages that resonate with regular people. They have no interest in that person being part of their government. That's why they didn't hold a primary once, and they didn't hold it twice.
Yes, and that's why some of them are now floating Rahm Emanuel for DNC chair.
Just when I think they've lost me, they pull me back in.
Just Mr. NAFTA, Mr. Crime Bill, Mr. Neoliberal, he is the worst. Because a lot of, again, these pundits, these people who are going to be fine no matter who Trump rounds up, they're not going to start. They should start with the pundit class, which I'd be fine with, because I'd be like, I'm not even an online influencer worthy of the DNC money. So Don't come for me. I didn't,
I tried.
I mean, it's not for lack of trying. I knocked at the
door, but they mowed it.
But I'm no sellout. But also, I wasn't asked. But I'm not a sellout.
I'm looking to sell out.
I'm
asking to sell out.
Exactly.
And they're not getting it.
Right. But if it spares me, that's. But they're all like, we have to, obviously tack to the center. It is a TBD on who is going to lead the DNC. But this is a terrible look that they not only splurged all this money on the Harris campaign, and I understand that the money is different coffers, sort of accounting wise, but it's a terrible look to then fire all of these workers.
Terrible look. It's also, I mean, I often look to the economic policies of FDR, and that was a man who didn't necessarily make the choices because he was an empath to regular people. He did it because he saw the writing was on the wall for the rich people, and
Totally.
that the people were going to come for their fucking money if they didn't start giving it back to them. And the Democrats and the Republicans have both been trying to get as far away from the way that they make a 36% tax on billionaires or whatever the fuck seem like it's really good. Just shows you how far away we are from the 95% taxation of the super rich. They need to at some point either decide that they want to give us the money back or that they're going to understand when we come to take it.
Well, that 100%. I mean, I don't believe in accelerationism because I think people die, but I do think that the class war has definitely been accelerated. Last thing before we move on to our final segment, it's, we just are in this moment of like absolute, like the Democratic Party has. I'm not gonna be someone, and I know you're not, as you've said, but I'm not gonna be someone who's like, yep, gotta get back on the horse and go. Like it's everything's fine. Like I need a moment. I need a moment.
I
Um,
think
and I don't trust them. And I do think that, I think here's the thing about Biden's campaign that was really critical was he was responding not just to the Sanders moment and movement, but to the pandemic, which proved we need Medicare for all.
we
We
know the
need job
policies.
security. We take advantage of working class people time and again, and we call them essential workers while we send them off to die for our fucking, packages and shit. Like all of these things were born. The Bernie's correctness on everything was born out by the pandemic, and Biden knew that, and Kamala Harris knew that. They all tacked left to Bernie's side in the primary, and then
Mhm.
they fucking forgot that. Like just because you're
And
in
then they
power,
pretend they lost because of those things they didn't run on. Francesca,
exactly,
let me ask you,
exactly.
let's say I had a lover, someone that I'd been seeing for the past 12, 16 years.
Cassandra.
And at Cassandra.
Okay.
And every time Cassandra takes my money, spends it on stuff that she says she's not going to, I get nothing out of it. She slowly starts to take our physical relationship off the table. She gets a little abusive, maybe not physically, but language wise, sometimes physically.
I kind of
But I
like her.
tell you,
Uh-huh.
but I tell you, yeah. But she keeps telling me that she's really good, and there's worse people out there.
There's worse
So
people
that's why
out
I
there that I
accepted
couldn't
her
do any
apology.
better.
And let's say I keep doing this, and let's say it just happened again, and I come to you and I go, she promises me the next time is going to be different. Are you telling me to keep going back to that relationship, or should I just play the field for a little while?
Well, here's the problem. The field is a desert island.
Or,
And the
or
other side of the island, there is a baboon on meth eating and slanging shit. And so you're like, okay, well,
with a
Cassandra,
less colorful asshole.
with yeah, right. So you're like, okay, Cassandra, obviously misspending my money and slightly, gaslighting and abusive, but like there is only this island is small. Now we're
I
trying to
think
make the island bigger.
I think we have to take this opportunity where we have 4, maybe 8 years, let's be honest. He's going to try to pass something about consecutive terms or something like that, to say to ourselves, let's, instead of shaming the third party voter, let's flip it to shame the Democratic voter and say
Yeah.
that that's a wasted vote. We have 4 years.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do